As part of its mission, the Brown Box Theater Project tries to eliminate barriers between performing arts and the community. That can mean performing at different venues, such as a park along the Charles River or a waterfront plaza near Fort Point Channel. The newest production goes even further in a musical theater cabaret event with the choice of material partly determined by the audience. To tell us about Broadway Jukebox is the artistic director of the Brown Box Theater Project, Taustin. Thank you very much for being with us, Kyler.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I want to go back to the beginnings of your organization because you studied here in Boston, but you came from another state that was sort of overlooked when it came to the arts. So talk about how that inspired you.
Of course. I am originally from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, where it took a lot of time and effort, whether it was financial effort or just the time of traveling to whether DC or New York to actually see professional theater. And while I got the theater bug, I didn't really have the easy access to it. I was lucky enough that my family could take me to those places semi-regularly. But I realized that as I went through my education here in Boston and beyond, I really felt that there was a major lack in access to the performing arts for communities that, whether it was geographic or economic financial barriers, that I felt that I wanted to break down and be able to bring high quality professional performing arts and a diverse array of performing arts to those communities, right to their backyard, to open the doors of this medium to as many people as possible.
Well, whether it's a serious drama or Broadway musical, we're accustomed to theaters as sort of a visual frame, the acoustical box, and you're doing things like, Shakespeare on the Beach. What made you do that?
Well, I love Shakespeare. I think that Shakespeare is a great pathway into theater in a lot of ways. It's something that people were maybe reading on the page, and especially in these communities that don't have something like Commonwealth Shakespeare or something right easily in their backyard. We work really hard to go into these communities to provide them access to seeing Shakespeare the way it was meant to be seen, which is live performance with actors right there in front of you. And that always serves as a great access for us to get into these new communities and to reach these new audiences, to then be able to start doing things like the Broadway Jukebox, where we're showing them a diverse array of musical theater from Golden Age all the way to what's currently on Broadway, and really give them exposure to these alternative types of theater and all the different ways that this medium can be used to share the unheard voice, share stories of different people, different backgrounds, and really give people the opportunity to reflect and to experience these other stories.
Well, you're going to be doing a new performance here of Broadway musicals going way back, but also up to the present day. So give me a little bit of a sense here. What's going to be in the mix?
Right. So the Broadway Jukebox we've learned about 30 songs, and the audience will come in and pick their favorites from each of our 5 categories. And we have Golden Age, Contemporary, Diva, Disney, and Sondheim. And we have learned, again, a large number of songs. The audience picks their favorites. We then curate the show on the night based off what the audience selected. So the show's never the same twice, and we'll always, so you can come and see it multiple times and probably see a couple new numbers. We do have a couple special ones that we've thrown in that'll be there all the time, but for the most part, it'll be exactly what the audience picks when they arrive.
Now, a Broadway musical has a lot of visual stuff going on with it, a lot of choreographing as well. But what about this? Because if people are going to shuffle the playlist, how are you going to handle that?
Well, we have worked really hard with those logistics. We did have a choreographer, Tyler Catanella, who has given us some great choreography to do with some of the bigger numbers. We have some individual solos, some medleys, a large variety. So the spectacle is still there for you. And if that's some of the things you love about Broadway, we still have something there for you. But we really are prepared for the shift to occur and to go from one thing right into the next. And the band knows what's coming next, but even the actors won't necessarily know what the next number is. So they'll open up an envelope, see what their set is for the next 4 or 5 songs, and then we are ready to go from there.
Now, I'm trying to imagine these venues. You've got one on Fort Point Channel, you get all these tall buildings around it. It's almost like there's too much going on. Does it distract from people at all?
We find that going into these alternative venues like Atlantic Wharf or Herder Park allows for the passerby to get a little taste and a little flavor as well. It also gives the experience of it really being the home base of whoever it is that comes. We're trying to go into people's communities, go directly to these places, and allow people to be at home and feel that comfort of being at home, but also experience something new and exciting. And yes, of course, the environment shifts and changes how we see things. Being in the middle of the woods or being in a lobby plaza of Atlantic Wharf gives a different environment, has different acoustics, and has a definite change of pace. But there's something exciting about that for the performer and for the audience.
Now, the funny thing about Broadway musical material is that a lot of us have heard it even if we've never been to a Broadway production. What's it like for somebody doing this the first time when they come and see it?
Well, I think that what it allows for is for people to, something that they may have heard Barbra Streisand sing, or that they didn't know necessarily came from a Broadway musical. I think there is that comfort of the song, that they know, something they recognize and something they know. But seeing it on stage is different. Seeing it in that kind of, that live component, as well as really acknowledging the fact that there is someone right there trying to encompass the story in a moment, and that is an exciting alternative to hearing it on the radio or listening to your favorite soundtrack.
I want to ask you also about the other venue in Boston, Herter Park. And this is a more quiet location, and it was almost too quiet for a while because it had to be fixed up. What's it like now?
The Friends of Herter Park have done a magnificent job of bringing this amphitheater back to life. They have gotten the stage completely renovated, as well as the seating, and have actually recently just installed their own lighting as well. While Brown Box brings all of our own lighting, this package that they have now will allow for house lights to happen, to also to bring other programming throughout the summer for their whole season that they're planning on trying to produce over the course of the next several months. And we launched off back in August with our last production to open that space, and we're excited to be back to bring this beautiful park back to life and be a part of launching this upcoming season with them. They've done a magnificent job of revitalizing the space and bringing it back to life and making a special place for the Allston Brighton community.
And if I remember, this is a place you can drive to. There's some parking there, but it's also on a great bike path too.
It is. It's right along the river. There's kayaking happening. There's bike paths. It's lots of parking. And this being a family-friendly production as well, it's a great place if you want to go and walk around with the kids and then come over at 8 o'clock, well, 7:30 to vote, and then for the show at 8 o'clock. That will allow for a really great afternoon.
Well, imagine in both of these locations, there are going to be people coming in for the first time. What does that do for people in the cast, knowing that you're dealing with that kind of an audience?
That is exactly our whole mission and our whole desire as artists with the Brown Box family. Even the performers who haven't worked with us before, they're coming in under the understanding that we are working to bring in new theater people, bring in the new patron, and provide access to people who don't necessarily have a regular theatrical life. They don't bring theater into their lives on a regular basis. And so that is beautiful and exciting and allows for a different type of energy, and as well as an educational component of bringing people in that, again, haven't necessarily been to the theater before. So whether for the newcomer or the regular theater patron, we have something really exciting to share.
Well, looking beyond this month into the summer, you've got some Shakespeare, maybe not on the beach, but
Right.
Tell us a little about what you got planned for that.
Our 8th annual Free Shakespeare Tour, it will open on August 10th, and we will run for 3 weeks here in Boston with Shakespeare's As You Like It. It's going to be our largest tour to date. We'll tour 3 weeks here before heading down south to Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia, and we'll be in a variety of different locations in all over eastern Massachusetts.
And finally, we should remind our viewers about the dates for Broadway Jukebox and your website so they can get the details.
Of course. So we will be back up on the 18th and 19th at Christian Herter Park in Allston, Brighton. The show starts at 8 p.m., but we definitely recommend getting there early, around 7:30, 7:35, in order to vote. And that is an outdoor performance. Our next indoor performance will be on the 20th at the Fort Point at Atlantic Wharf. Keep an eye on our website, brownboxtheater.org, and where you can learn about all the details. You can reserve tickets for the indoor performance, and you can also check out, in case there is any weather concerns, you can check out our website to keep following us there in case there's anything that prevents us from performing on the 18th and the 19th.
Thank you very much for being with us.
I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Taustin from Brown Box Theater Project.